The net slid into the river before the first rooster crowed. Cold mist wrapped the water like smoke from an old fire. The rope in his hands tugged back, heavier than any morning before. He dug his feet into the mud, pulled harder. Not fish, not branches. Something else. Something big. His heart beat loud in his chest. The river was quiet, but the pull was strong. He gripped tight. One more heave, and the weight broke through the surface. It was a body. A girl. Limp like a leaf soaked in rain. Her arms dangled. Her hair clung to her face. Her wrapper was torn. Her feet were bruised. Her breath was shallow, but it was there. He looked around. No one else had seen. Only the river watched. He carried her out, one arm under her back, one under her knees. She did not move. Her skin was cold. Her silence was heavy. At the village gate, a woman fetching firewood gasped. "What is that?" He didn't answer, just kept walking. Another voice said, "Leave her. That is not your burden." Another warned, "River spirits take what they give." Still he walked. He reached his hut, laid her gently on a woven mat beside the fire. His wife stood in the corner, arms crossed. She said nothing, but her eyes said enough. The girl didn't wake. She didn't speak. She didn't stir. He gave her water with his fingers. He wiped her forehead with wet cloth. He crushed herbs, left them near her lips. The fire crackled low. The rooster crowed again. Shadows stretched longer. Still she slept. Night fell. He sat by her side, waiting, watching. The stars blinked above. The frogs sang by the river. The village slept. Suddenly, her fingers twitched. Her lips parted. Her chest rose deep. And then, she opened her eyes. Brown, wide, afraid. Her voice cracked the silence. "Baba!" The girl awoke with no name in her mouth. Her eyes searched the hut. Her lips moved, but no word came. Not her name. Not a single memory. Only silence. She sat by the fire, watched the pot boil, listened to the goats. Still, nothing came. He gave her a name. Nena. Father's gift, he called it. She nodded. That name, at least, didn't run from her tongue. But not all were pleased. A warning came with a frown. Stray girls bring stray spirits. Still she stayed. She swept the compound, sliced cassava, pulled fish from the nets. She never complained. She smiled when spoken to, sat quietly when others gossiped. Never once raised her voice. Children followed her. The little ones laughed around her feet. She sang while washing. A soft hum, like the river's own tune. The woman of the house watched, but said little. At the market, traders muttered. "There are men asking strange things," one said. "They search for a girl with a torn royal cloth," another whispered. "A girl lost many seasons ago," said a third. "Marked by birth, hidden by fate." He heard it all. His hands tightened around the fishing line. His eyes never left Nena. "Do not talk to strangers," he warned. She nodded. The next morning, she helped pound yam, laughed when the pestle bounced wrong, her face full of light. But that light didn't last. Later, a trader passed by. He played a flute, slow, deep, sad like a story without an ending. The sound slipped into her ears like a snake in dry grass. She froze. Her hands dropped the bowl. It hit the ground, cracked loud. Her knees gave way. She screamed. One word, a name not her own. "Obesai!" The market stopped. The birds stopped. Even the wind stood still. The girl winced when her shoulder was touched. A mark sat there, dark, deep, shaped like a cowrie, kissed by fire. They called the priest. He studied the mark with old eyes. His breath caught in his throat. His hands shook as he traced the edge of it. That mark had only one meaning. The king's blood walks among us, he whispered. 12 seasons ago, the royal daughter vanished. The drums never beat again. The king's beard turned gray. His wife wept until her voice dried like cassava under the sun. Some said the girl died in the river. Some said the gods took her. Others whispered of rebels and betrayal. But now, here she was, or so it seemed. The priest gave no orders, only a warning. Truth is a flame. It can cook your food or burn your hut. She sat still as whispers grew louder. People stared longer. Some stepped back when she passed. Some crossed themselves. She began to remember. Red cloth flashing like fire in the wind. Running feet over sharp stones. Someone shouting, "Hide her, now!" She gripped her head. The flashes came like lightning without thunder. The man who pulled her from the river heard the noise rising. He looked into the fire that night and said nothing. When the priest left, he turned to his wife. "She is the king's blood," she said. He shook his head. "She is the river's gift. Let her be." But the fire would not stay small. At the market, the wind blew hot. A man came, tall and silent. He wore a dark wrapper, loose over lean shoulders. He said little, asked for fish, but his eyes never blinked. They watched the girl, from behind baskets, from beyond the smoke. She felt them crawl over her skin. He handed over his coins without counting. Still, he did not leave. She turned. He smiled. He came with spices, bright powders in folded leaves. A smile too wide for the sun. He called himself a trader, but his eyes searched more than they sold. His voice was smooth, too smooth. It wrapped around questions like oil on yam. "Any new faces here?" he asked. "Any girls without a story?" The answers were short. Heads turned away. No one liked his tone, but he kept asking. He bought fish with gold instead of cowries. He counted slowly. His fingers never left the blade tucked at his waist. He left, but his shadow stayed. That night, the wind carried whispers to the river. "She's here. She doesn't know." The voice came from the tall grass. She crouched low. Her ears burned. She remembers nothing, but soon she will. Feet shuffled in the dark. She held her breath until they were gone. Then she ran. Her steps pounded like drums on dry earth. She burst into the hut, told everything. He listened, then rose. He led her to the canoe house, pulled up a mat. Beneath, a space, just wide enough to hide a child. "Stay here," he said. "No matter what you hear." She nodded, crawled in. He covered her with palm leaves. Outside, the crickets chirped. The air hung heavy. He sat in front, paddle in hand. The moon rose. They came, 3 figures. One carried a lantern. One held a rope. The last dragged a boy. The boy's mouth was tied. His arms were scratched. He thrashed like a trapped goat. The stranger's voice was low now. This one saw too much. The paddle trembled, but it did not move. Inside the canoe house, her breath caught. The boy looked up, blood on his lip, hope in his eyes. The man pulled the rope tighter. "Let her come out," he said, "or the boy goes into the river." No one moved. Then the boy screamed. The rope was rough. It burned her hands, but she pulled harder. The boy's wrists came free. His eyes widened. He didn't speak, just nodded. They ran, through roots and thorns, through shadows that moved. No path, just faith. He pointed left. "There's a cave." Not far. They reached it, ducking low, hearts thudding like festival drums. Inside, stone and silence. But outside, the hunt had begun. Voices shouted. Sticks cracked. Fire flickered. Torches rose like angry stars in the dark. She grabbed a rock, raised it high. The boy shook his head, whispered, "Wait." Then came the mist. It rolled in smooth, cold, strange, and with it, her, a woman in white. Her feet made no sound. Her eyes held moons. She spoke like the river sings. "You are not lost. You are chosen." The mist wrapped around them, thick like soup. When it faded, the cave was gone. Now there was water, still, shining, silver under moonlight. The woman touched her brow. "You belong to the moonlight court. Return, and you'll remember." Then she was gone. The boy stood back, silent. She stepped to the edge of the pond, kneeled, looked down. The face in the water was hers, but not. This one wore beads. This one wore pride. This one knew. A name came up from the water. Not given, not borrowed, not forgotten. Adaora. The king sat alone. His fingers traced the edge of a broken bracelet. The color had faded, but not the pain. They said time heals, but time only hid the wound beneath royal cloth. The drums had been silent for 12 seasons. The throne was still full, but his heart remained empty. Then the hunter arrived, dust on his face, fire in his eyes. He bowed low and spoke fast. "There is a girl. She walks the north path. She bears the royal mark." The king stood. No questions, only orders. "Find her. No horns, no drums, no noise." Guards moved like wind in tall grass. Far from the palace, danger had already found her. The man once called a merchant had shed his mask. Now he moved like a jackal, quiet, sharp, hungry. They called him general once. But now, even the spirits held back his name. He had followed footprints, read broken branches, sniffed smoke in the air. He knew where she was going, and he would not let her get there. He sharpened his blade against bark. "She thinks the palace will save her," he spat. "But the forest will eat her first." The boy walked ahead of her, happy to lead. He spoke of caves and shortcuts, of birds that warned and trees that whispered. But behind them, wolves followed, steel in hand, rope ready. When the boy turned, they were waiting. He tried to run, too slow. A blow to the head, a gag pulled tight. They dragged him back through the roots, to the man with the empty eyes. He smiled. "At last," he said. "Now she will come to me." They came before dawn. No warning, no kindness, just ropes and accusations. He was dragged through the village like a thief. Heads turned, eyes narrowed. "He hid the king's daughter," they whispered. "He kept royal blood in a fisherman's hut." The palace gates opened with judgment. He stood before elders, robes bright, voices sharp. "Did you know?" they asked. He lifted his head. "I fed a girl," he said. "I never asked her name." The queen mother watched him long. Her voice cut through silence. "The river sends who it chooses." Some scoffed, but she nodded. He kept her safe, not hidden. The king's face stayed stone, but the fisherman did not kneel. He stepped forward. "Let me go with the guards," he said. "I fear the path she walks now." "She is not just your child," he added, "but I was her shield." The hall fell quiet. Then the king raised a hand. "Go," he said. "Bring her home." The guards turned. He followed, but far beyond, in the forest's mouth, someone else was listening. He leaned against a tree, sharpening steel. News reached him fast. "The king sends riders." He grinned. "A jagged thing. Then we strike before they do." The blade stopped moving. His eyes darkened. No more delays. The river waited. The same place where silence once gave her life now held its breath again. They came with blades, with rope, with snarls in their mouths. She did not run. She stood tall, back straight, eyes clear. If I am royal, I die as one. Let the river witness. Laughter rose. Steel gleamed. The order came. Take her. But thunder cracked before feet moved. Not sky thunder. Warrior thunder. From the trees they poured. Royal guards. Fast. Fierce. Faces painted for justice. The clash began. Screams. Dust. Metal against metal. Flesh against fate. He ran with them. Paddle in hand. Not a soldier. A father. He struck hard. Once. Twice. Men fell like yams from a broken basket. She picked up a stick. Swung it like a spear. A soldier reached for her arm. He fell before he touched her. The river turned red. The trees echoed with battle cries. One man fought like a demon, not for glory, but for silence. He kicked, roared, Callow. He pushed through them all. He found her. He grabbed her arm, spun her around. His blade touched her neck. One more step, he shouted, and she dies. Hooves thundered. Spears parted. A royal voice cut through the battle. Let her go. You've lost. The blade at her throat didn't move. Callow's laugh cracked like dry wood. Too late. The crown can't save her now. But she didn't flinch. She stared at the one who ruled the land. Then she spoke. Where the lion sleeps, the child of Obasai dreams. The words struck like a bell in the king's chest. His sword dropped. His knees bent. His voice broke. My Adaora. The girl did not look away. His eyes filled. His hands opened. She was his. No doubt now. No more questions. The forest froze. Even the birds held their breath. In that moment, the paddle flew. It struck hard. Wood to bone. Rage to betrayal. Callow staggered back. Eyes wide. The girl was pulled free. Arms grabbed her, held her close. But Callow did not fall alone. The river moved. Not like water, like hunger. It rose behind him, silent, fast, cold as justice. Hands reached out. Not hands of flesh. Hands of memory. Of spirits wronged. Of truth buried too long. They grabbed. He screamed. No one helped. His blade dropped. His breath vanished. The water swallowed. And the river calmed. The river rose. Not with anger, but with power. Mist curled like smoke. From the heart of the water, she appeared. White cloth. Bare feet. Eyes like ancient stone. Momooka. Her voice rolled across the river like thunder before rain. He who harms a child of the crown, harms the land. The water surged. Callow fought. Kick. Cursed. Begged. The river did not care. It pulled. It swallowed. It ended him. And then it stilled. No wave. No ripple. The forest exhaled. The guards lowered their weapons. The villagers bowed their heads. Adaora collapsed. The fight was over. The memory was not. He called me Nena, she whispered. I will never forget. Arms wrapped around her. Not to protect, but to hold. Songs rose. Old ones. Songs that had not been sung since the princess vanished. Drums echoed softly. Women danced. Elders watched. Children repeated her name like a prayer. Dondo stood at the edge of it all. He did not sing. He did not speak. But the Queen Mother walked to him. You gave her back. He nodded once. She was never mine. Yet you guarded her like your own. He looked at the sky. The river chose me. The king offered gold. Cloth. A place in the court. Dondo turned. Walked home. The crowd parted. None stopped him. That night, a royal messenger came. The king sends for you. The door stayed shut. Tell him I am already where I belong. The king came with gold, with robes heavy like clouds before rain. He stood outside a humble hut. The crowd watched, holding breath. He offered treasures, honor, a place beside the throne. But the old man shook his head. I want no palace. I want her safe. The king nodded, slowly, like one who finally understood. The next morning, she came. No guards, no drums, just a basket of fish, and a smile too wide for royalty. She cleaned the fire pit, poured water into the pot, sat like she used to. She still called him Baba, and he still called her his little river guest. Even as her clothes shimmered, even as her beads sparkled, she spoke of council meetings, of scrolls, of land and duty. But when she laughed, it was still village laughter. When she cried, it was behind the hut, not before the court. She came often, never stayed too long, always left something behind. A dried fish, a warm wrap, a few quiet tears. The hut never changed, but the palace felt them both. The queen mother watched her walk in and out, her face full of wonder. She carries him in her, she said, not by blood, but by spirit. She turned to the king. He should be ours. By name. A messenger rode fast, carrying a name scroll, a royal staff, a white cloth for ceremony. But by the time he reached the village, the man had already gone. Down by the river, fishing, the scroll was left at the door, and a whisper blew with the wind. Some men wear crowns in silence. She walked the palace like water, soft, calm, and deep. Gold lined her arms. Beads kissed her neck. But beneath the royal cloth, simple wraps still touched her skin. She never forgot. She sat with chiefs, but spoke with farmers. She judged disputes, then bent to braid a child's hair. She gave the crown her voice, but gave the village her hands. She built boats, strong ones, painted the hulls with river patterns. Fishermen raised their nets with new pride. She built a school beside the old fire pit. Children filled it with questions and dreams. She told them stories. Her story of waking in a stranger's hut, of learning to gut fish with sore fingers, of hearing her name whispered by water. They listened, they nodded, and they called her two names. Some said royal, others said riverborn. Elders watched her move and whispered. She came back better than she left. Her name spread, not just across kingdoms, but through stories told beside lanterns and moonlight. They sang, the girl who washed ashore like a fish and ruled like a queen. Drummers carved her tale into rhythm. Mothers wove her into lullabies. Even the river carried her name gently on its back. Every year, on the same day, she returned alone. No guards, no drums, only silence and memory. She knelt where it began, rolled one fish from her basket, held it in both hands. Its silver scales caught the sun. She lowered it into the water. It swam once, then vanished. She smiled. Thank you, Baba. The wind stirred, the river rippled, and the story lived on.